Welcome everyone, this is Manu Kaushik and today I am going to tell you the marking criteria in IELTS speaking. So what are the marking criteria? Okay friends, I'll tell you the marking criteria are the parameters on which you are marked on your speaking. So these are the four parameters. So the first parameter is fluency and coherence, second one lexical resources, third grammatical range and accuracy, and fourth pronunciation. So when you know all these four parameters, then you would also ask what is the use, what is the benefit of knowing all these four parameters. So friends, I'll tell you the first benefit would be that you will know the marking scheme, then you will act according to it. Suppose when they'll ask questions and when you give answer, you will keep all these things in mind and you'll score better. So now we need to understand on these four criterias how we are marked. So as you guys would be knowing, in IELTS speaking we are marked out of 9. So in this, all these four sections you are marked out of 9. So suppose you have scored 8 in fluency and coherence, and you scored 7 in lexical resources. In grammatical range and accuracy you scored 6, and in pronunciation you scored 7. So that makes your total 28. They'll take an average, that is divided by 4, and it gives you 7. So it means this 7 would be your IELTS English speaking band. So guys, now we'll look into all these four marking criteria in details. Now we'll talk about the fluency and coherence. So what is fluency? Okay guys, how smoothly you are talking, how fluently you are talking, whether you are taking so many pauses in between or not, whether you are breaking the sentence, whether there are any abrupt endings. So all these things comes under fluency. And what is coherence? The literal meaning of coherence is sticking. So whether you are able to stick your words properly in your sentence, whether you are able to connect the ideas, so those things comes under coherence. Okay guys, let me give you an example to understand fluency and coherence together. Okay, suppose an examiner asks you a question, tell me something about yourself. So if you answer like, I am a student, I play basketball, I am doing my bachelor's in architecture, oh, my name is John. So if you give such answers, then there is no coherence and no fluency. As you would have seen, there was no fluency, but coherence. We are trying to understand coherence here. So when he says he's a student, and after that he says he's a basketball player. Okay, he loves playing basketball. Then after that he is telling that he is doing bachelor's in architecture. So he is talking about the educational things. In between he has put the sport, and again he is talking about the educational thing, and in the last he is telling his name. So these sentences are not in coherence. Okay, if you give answer like, hi, I am John, I am a student doing my bachelor's in architecture and I love playing basketball. So if you give such answers, then those answers are in fluency, because you are maintaining a proper pace, you are not taking many pauses, and this answer is also in coherence, because first you are telling about yourself, then after that your studies, and after that your hobbies. So we'll look at the 4 points which comes under fluency and coherence. So the first point is right speed. The pace of your talking has to be right. It should not be too slow, it should not be too fast, but it should be at the understandable pace. Okay, examiner should understand what you are saying, right? Now the second point is connecting the ideas. As I have already told you the meaning of coherence, so in this, whether you are able to connect the ideas or not, you should not contradict. For example, suppose if you are saying an elephant is a big animal, and in the next sentence you are saying it is a very weak animal. So in this case, you are contradicting the ideas. So these things are not falling in coherence. Okay, so these things you have to keep in mind, that your idea has to be connected. Okay, now the third thing, follow the rules of the language. In rules of the language comes the tenses, nouns, pronouns, verbs, connectors, etc., etc., etc. Whether you are able to use nouns, verbs, whether you know the rules of the language, whether you are using proper tenses, whether you are making proper sentences without any mistake. So these things are counted in the rules of language. Now the fourth thing, which is very important, is intonation. What is intonation? Intonation is changing your sound levels in between according to the expressions. Suppose if you are very happy, you will say, "Oh yeah," and if you are sad, "Oh yes." So suppose if you are changing your sound levels, that is called intonation, and intonation is very important in IELTS. Now I'm going to talk about the lexical resources. So what are lexical resources? These are the range of the words which a candidate possesses and how well they use them. So it means to use them where to convey their ideas. Okay. So what comes under lexical resources? So the first thing which comes is range of words, ideas of speech, and last functions of speech. So now the first thing, in range of words, how can you improve the range of the words? You can use synonyms, you can use idioms and phrases to show that yes, you have a range of the words. For example, for a good lady, you can use the word kind lady. Okay. For bad weather, you can use extreme weather. So likewise, when you tend to use the advanced words, it shows that you have a range of vocabulary. So that is what observed in lexical resources. Now the second thing which is important is the idea of speech. It means whether with your talk you are able to convince your idea to other people, or you can say to a listener. Now the third thing is function of speech. Suppose you are given a question in which you need to convince a person, and in this they observe whether you are able to convince him or not. So that's what is the function, what is the requirement of your speech, whether you are able to fulfill that requirement or not. So that is what counted in function of speech. So guys, now you would have understand what are the lexical resources. In lexical resources, it includes the range of the words, the vocabulary, idioms and phrases, synonyms, the ideas of speech, whether you are able to convince the idea properly or not, and the function of speech, whether you are able to fulfill the task by your speech or not. Now we'll come to the third point. Now I'll talk about the grammatical range and accuracy. As the name itself suggests, grammatical range and accuracy. So in this, they test the range of your grammar and accuracy of your grammar. So how can you increase the range of your grammar? By using tenses correctly. Okay, you should be able to use all the three tenses, present, past, future, properly. Okay, and then parts of the speech means you should be able to use pronouns, okay, adjectives, adverbs. So all those things are checked in range and accuracy, whether you are whatever you are using, that is right or not, accurate or not. So those things. And in this, obviously, grammar, whether you are using the tenses and parts of speech properly, whether you are able to convey your message. So all those things in comes under grammar, and obviously the accuracy. So in this case, they see whether you are able to, whether you know the language and you are able to show them. Okay, so that thing. And accuracy, whether whatever you are showing, whether that is correct or not. Okay, now moving on to the fourth point. Now we'll look at the fourth part. Fourth part is pronunciation. So this part considers how well a candidate pronounces the language. This also considers his communicative effect. Communicative effect means when he speaks, what effect he is creating. Okay, and they also considers the effect on the listeners. It means they check how much strain a listener has to put in understanding him what he is speaking. So that also counts, and they also count how effective your accent is. However, there can be many accent, whichever accent you want you can speak. but they'll see whether your accent is effective, whether you are able to convey your feelings, your ideas, your message. So all these things comes under pronunciation. Guys, I hope you would have understood the session. Thank you guys. I hope you understand well. Please subscribe for more IELTS related videos. Thank you.